when you talk about watches, like,
Hanji.
how did your interest develop in that particular space?
I was actually very, very lucky while I was working here at India Today.
Yeah.
And from an intern, I graduated into a full-time employee in 2 months. I was feeling max proud of myself that
Yeah.
day. I remember the first stipend they gave me, I went and gave it to my mom, and she's like, this is very sweet,
Oh,
Nirja,
how cute.
but why didn't you just buy yourself something? So I did.
Well, these are not just accessories, they are lasting memories that carry the weight of significant moments in our lives. You might have received a timepiece when you graduated high school or as a wedding present. Yes, I'm talking about watches. I feel watches hold like such a special position in our hearts, and these are not just devices to tell time, but it also holds value that transcends generations. You might have heard of the Graph Diamond Hallucination, which is an exquisite timepiece that showcases a kaleidoscope of colors, and it costs, well, 450 crores. There are other brands like Chopin, Breguet, and Rolex that, craft really elegant watches. And okay, you might be thinking that I know a lot, but well, I'm not here to claim expertise on this subject. Today, we have a very special guest whose insights will surely leave us with a lot more deeper information on this subject and on these remarkable works of art. So, please welcome a girl with a discerning taste of sense and style, Nirja Dutt. Hi, Nirja.
Hi.
You look really nice. What are you wearing?
Thank you so much. I am actually wearing still cold in Delhi, so I'm wearing
Yeah.
heat tech. I'm wearing a cute sweater by Kukai that I picked up in Paris, and I'm
How
wearing
nice.
this skirt by Torn Black.
We can't see the skirt, but I'm sure it's really pretty.
It's damn cute. But
Yeah,
yes.
okay. You look really nice.
Thank you, as do
So,
you.
yeah. So, before we begin the show, I would like to tell you a little bit more about Nirja. Now, she has been in the fashion media for over a decade now. Currently, she is like a luxury journalist, a content strategist, and a horologist, which is why she has the expertise in watches, and I'm sure she'll tell us a lot about it shortly. So, Nirja has come here before, okay, and she used to work here. Like she was in the launch team of Harper's Bazaar Bride, and she has been working with India Today since 2013. So I'm sure she knows a lot about this place. So Nirja, how do you feel to be back here?
In fact, it's like a homecoming. This place has always been special. It's
Yeah.
taught me so much. I have learned so much in this place. Most of what I learned here, I still very much use today. I'm very, very grateful for this place. I came here as a hopeful 21-year-old,
How
and
cute, yeah.
it's been a journey. But I couldn't have done it without this place. So, thank you, India Today.
Great. Okay. Okay. So then, shortly after, like when she was done with her stint here, Nija went to Elle. She joined Elle as a fashion features editor, and then since 2018, she has been, a freelance journalist and content strategist for many luxury brands, and she creates like immersive experiences, textualized content strategy. So I'm sure, like we will have like a great discussion, and we all will get to learn a lot. And by the way, when Nija is not doing any of this, she is finding a latte to fall in love with, or she is planning her next trip through Europe. So we'll find out about that as well. Okay, so let's start. So Nija, you are a freelancer
Yes.
now, and the gig workforce, as we call it, has been on the rise. There's like a 14% rise, in the gig workforce. So how do you feel like? And a lot of people now also want to become freelancers because of the flexibility that it
That's
sort of
true.
gives you. If you want to, like, let's say, start something of your own,
Yeah.
or if you want to work for multiple brands, so that is sort of like a convenient option. So you have seen the evolution technically, right?
Gosh,
So
yeah.
yeah. So tell us about that. Yeah.
I think becoming a freelancer became something that was an option for a lot of people back in the day
Yeah.
because they had a certain level of experience and they wanted to diversify. However, today, especially post COVID, I would say that there is a lot of respect for things like work from home.
Yeah.
There is a certain culture of multi hyphenate people that
Yeah.
are, considered an asset vis-a-vis someone who perhaps does too many things.
Correct.
So, I think the terminology, a jack of all trades, is not seen as a bad thing anymore. So I think COVID did kind of expedite that. However, if someone wants to start off now and wants to become a freelancer straight away, I am still slightly old school. I would say perhaps kind of indulge at least a few years, maybe 2 or
Correct.
3, if not many, especially when you're on the younger side of things.
Yeah.
At a full time place, the kind of
Absolutely.
experience it gives you, when you are that nascent in a larger pool,
Absolutely. Yeah.
the kind of things that you learn, like, they're
Yeah.
they're forevermore. It's
course.
like getting a little degree.
Yeah, I feel also it disciplines you in a
For
certain
sure.
way.
For sure.
For me, like I know, like I come here every day.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's like a certain time you have to wake up, you have to go, you have to sleep,
Do
you
they
have
still
to
have that
finish
10,
these tasks.
15 thing?
Yeah, yeah. It's slightly better now, but
Not
the thing
bad.
is, we still have like a disciplined setting. So I think that's sort of really important
Yeah.
for any human being, to
It is.
get a hang of it. Also, like when you said jack of all trades, I feel like today what really works is jack of all trades and a master of one.
Definitely.
So yeah, so I think people should really focus on that.
Yeah.
So what are the pros and cons? Like, just getting a little deeper into the freelance business. What are the pros and cons of being like a freelancer today?
So I would definitely say that a pro would be you will never be bored.
Yeah.
Every day is different. And if that's something that's enticing to you, it's the greatest way to be. No 2 days are the same. Every day brings forth a new challenge.
Yeah.
The kind of people that you work with, be it various platforms, be it various brands, maybe you're working on something because now social media is so huge.
Yeah.
Perhaps you're working on content for your own platform. Maybe you're working on an article for, say, a Harper's Bazaar.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're working with a jewelry brand to create native content for them. So every day is different. And
Yeah.
also, I feel like once you are, say, someone who knows a space per se, a lot of people throw different challenges at you, which becomes so interesting. Like I remember very recently, I was working with the Platinum Guild on a script because they wanted someone who had technical knowledge of noble metals
Oh, wow.
to write that script for them. Now, this was
Okay.
for people who are perhaps stalwarts in their own right,
Yeah.
but then they wanted someone who had that, that nuanced eye to understand that platform completely and to be able to craft a script. So that was something that perhaps I thought I would never do.
Yeah.
But then, people see you in that light and it's so interesting. Or
It
like
is,
there
yeah.
is a PR firm that I also consult with once a week. It's owned by dear friends of mine.
Okay.
And they said, Nirja, we just want to borrow your brain once a week and like tell us what we're
Nice.
doing wrong. So it's really great because I go into their office and
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, this is not working. And
Yeah.
so like, they change their strategy.
Yeah.
They're making it sound way more frivolous than it does. But I think it's just very, very interesting in that way. A con would be perhaps everyone looks at you as someone who's a problem solver to a certain degree.
Got
So
it.
once that problem is solved, and this I would say for, say, someone who is efficient at what they do,
Yeah.
then they lose interest in what you came for because you've achieved that. So then
Got
you
it.
don't have continuity.
Got it.
So having something that's in continuum becomes a little difficult. So
Got
which
it.
is why then you feel a certain sense of, for the lack of better words, anxiety, where you're like, hey, listen, I don't know where my next paycheck's coming from
Yeah,
because this
yeah.
project's over. What are we going to do? But yeah, it keeps things interesting, keeps you on your toes.
Nice.
You seem to develop rhythms of your own.
Okay.
That could be perhaps, like every Thursday, I take a coffee break with myself. Like, so on
Okay.
every Thursday at 4 o'clock, I schedule nothing.
Yeah.
And I just go to the new favorite coffee place and I like try and discover a new place to
Nice.
have coffee at. But,
Nice.
and then I use it for my meetings if I like it.
Nice.
But yeah, you kind of create these little things for yourself. So you do get time for
Yourself.
developing yourself. Yeah,
Nice.
which in a full-time role becomes a little difficult.
Nice.
But yeah, those
But
are the
I'm
pros.
sure, like, you are smart. I'm sure nobody sees you as irrelevant whatsoever. So let's just clear that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So when you began, like when you began the freelance journey, like since you had already worked here,
Yeah.
So I'm sure you had some sort of advantages.
Yes, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. But and that's why you probably advise people to, sort of work somewhere and then know how to go about that,
Definitely.
in especially in the fashion industry,
Yeah.
because we are talking about that.
Yeah.
So what were the challenges? Like, were there any particular challenges that really, like, you really struggled with at that point?
I think it was to find a voice for yourself
Mm-hmm.
beyond what you're representing. So, for example, as a journalist, and this is something that I'm sure a lot of people understand, wherein your deliverable, or perhaps you are invited for something because you could perhaps write about them for that
Correct.
platform.
Correct.
So then I'm like, hey, but who cares about Nirja Dutt? Right now she's not associated with anything.
Yeah.
So will she even be invited? Or even if I want to be there, what can I give them in return?
Yeah.
And I think that's where I would say that having previous experience in a full time role helps, because it helps you find and form bonds with people, with brands,
Yeah.
that then, people see you in beyond just a deliverable.
Got it.
So perhaps someone becomes a friend over time, or
Yeah.
they know that, or they believe in you, just simply that. And they'd be like, hey,
Absolutely.
listen, like, I want to indulge her in this experience, or
Yeah.
I want to perhaps reach out to her, or keep her in the know about this happening with me,
Yeah.
because maybe there would be some way where it could collide in the future.
Correct.
So
Correct. So
I
it's
think
like a trust that you've
like a
built.
trust, yeah.
Nice. Nice.
But I think
Nice.
that was a large challenge where I needed to come into my own, and I was always known for someone who was associated with media.
Yeah.
So you take your chair for granted, because
Yeah.
you're like, hey, of course, Fashion Week, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Hey, of course, I'm gonna go to the watch fair. Or like, oh, obviously, like, there is this dinner that Sabya's doing, and like,
Yeah.
obviously, so like things like that, that's just events. But otherwise, also in terms of work, because you've been contextualized as someone who perhaps only writes about lifestyle, but your interest is, say, watches, for like me. But that was something that I was very conscious of even when I was working
Yeah.
full time, where I kept watches as a very, very key focus in my this thing. So my bylines, my understanding, even my overall communication with various brands was always watch forward. But if you aren't that person,
Yeah.
then they're like, I don't know if she can write about this. Yeah. Like, even if someone wants to give you something
Correct.
for, working with them, they won't know if you have a hold over that subject.
Absolutely.
So that became a little difficult. And then social media blew up.
Yeah.
So that was something that I used to do for fun. And then over time, I think I started taking it more seriously.
Yeah.
I still do it very much for fun. But now I'm way more conscious. We've all evolved, I feel, on the platform. So we've been
Absolutely.
able to identify, yes, this works, yes, this doesn't. Again, that also helps when you're working with a platform. So you
Yeah.
know that's the kind of content that's trending.
Yeah.
So you are a little more cognizant. You treat your own page like a little magazine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I remember like when Instagram first came,
Yeah.
I was in school,
Yeah.
and we used to all like, we used to just have fun, and we used to
Yeah.
like post a picture with our friends,
Right?
or like of like what we are eating, and we used to be like, yeah, that's it. We used to get like, I don't know, 5, 6 likes, like
Yeah.
usually,
And that
yeah.
was great, right?
That was great.
Yeah.
Like you used to feel so happy.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
only this many likes,
Yeah, like,
only
what
this
is
many views.
this?
What is this? Yeah. Yeah. That's
So, yeah.
absolutely
No,
true.
no, it's tough.
Yeah. So when you talk about watches, like,
Hanji.
how did your interest develop in that particular space?
I was actually very, very lucky while I was working here at India Today.
Yeah.
And from an intern, I graduated into a full time employee in 2 months. I was feeling max proud of myself that
Yeah.
day. I remember the first stipend they gave me, I went and gave it to my mom, and she's like, this is very sweet,
Oh, how
Nirja,
cute.
but why didn't you just buy yourself something? So I did. But I think at that time there was this lady who was the associate editor, and she had quit. And technically, in magazine speak, because watches are advertisers, so it
Yeah.
goes to the person who helms the magazine on the higher end. So perhaps someone who's second or third in line to the editor.
Okay.
So she unexpectedly quit, and then my that time editor Nupur Mehta Puri, God bless her, I love her. She
A lot of people love her, by the way.
listen,
Yeah.
she saw me when I
I've
was
heard so
like
much. Yeah.
I didn't even know what I was doing. Like, I
Yeah.
remember one of the first questions, oh gosh, I asked on my first day was like, what is a PR?
Okay.
And I
How
remember
cute. Yeah.
them looking at me being like, just look it up. Like,
Yeah,
please
yeah,
don't
yeah.
bother us with your questions. So, yeah, I mean, I learned a lot and
Hmm.
they were very patient with me. So, once that lady quit, um, and I was shadowing her.
Yeah.
So Nupur was just like, listen, so you have to go to Basel World now.
Hmm.
I had no idea what that was. It
Hmm.
is one of the marquee watch fairs that happens in the world.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because of COVID, it doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
graduated
yeah.
to Watches and Wonders now.
Yeah.
However, at that time, it was the key highlight of any person's calendar. And I was like, okay, I mean, I don't know what that is, but sure.
Hmm.
And she's like, no, no, just go and like you're representing us and just get everything done. And I'm like, okay. And the only answer you give at that point is okay.
Okay. Hmm.
So yeah, I went there. And then once I landed in Basel, I was shocked to find how many people are so nerdy about this subject.
Mhm.
And I found myself being one of them
Mhm.
here, but I was still an anomaly. Watches
Yeah.
is a technical subject. Not everyone likes to get into it in the way that most watch nerds do, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
But I landed in a city where people from all over the world were just obsessed with it as much as I was. And I'm like, I never want to stop doing this. This is amazing.
How nice.
And yeah, the love affair began then. And we're sitting here a
And it has
decade later.
continued
Yeah,
since.
yeah,
Nice, nice.
yeah.
So, what was the first ever watch that you got as a gift or like you bought for yourself, which you
Uh,
still have?
I think I did actually buy myself a watch 2 years ago. Where
Hmm.
so the downside of being someone who's in love with watches is that
You spend a lot of money?
and you fall in love with a new watch every
Okay.
quarter.
Yeah.
So I can't keep up with my own taste. I can't afford my own taste. It's a fact.
Hmm.
But I wanted to buy something. So I think Diwali 2 years ago, I told my mom that I'm buying it for her, but
Hmm.
I use it a lot.
Hmm.
It's the Cartier Tank.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful classic design
Mm-hmm.
by the brand, and it's something that I know will be timeless. It's something that I know I'll use for years to come. And if all goes well, pass it down generations as you must.
It will go well.
It will go well.
Yes.
And
Yes.
in fact,
Let's manifest
yeah,
all
we
good
shall.
things.
We
Yes.
shall.
Yeah.
But a few other watches that I do have is one old Western workhouse watch that my nani used to have. It's
Okay.
a small little dial. I don't even think that brand exists anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I hold very special. I wear it for special occasions.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, otherwise, I think watches is still something that I never thought of. It was something that I came by, and it's been a happy coincidence in my life.
How nice, how nice.
Yeah.
So like we have a color of the year and
Mm-hmm.
like we have so many things of the year. So
Yeah.
what is like the watch of the year?
That does happen.
Yeah.
And I usually, I mean, of course, it changes, but what I've noticed of late is that the industry overall has been diversifying in a way where, first of all, the thing that's happening in the past 2 years, post COVID, is what I would say, is that the norm of men's and women's watches is breaking. So a lot of women are perhaps going for something that's much bigger for their wrist, but it
Yeah.
looks great.
Yeah.
Men are going smaller. Like that day I saw Timothy Chalamet. He was wearing the Cartier Crash, which was completely studded, like drenched in diamonds.
Yeah.
Now, technically, that would be seen as a woman's watch, but he looked amazing in it. Or Jacob Elordi, for that matter.
Diamonds are for everyone.
I
now.
agree.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
And why not?
Yeah.
So, in fact, Rihanna was wearing a Jacob and Co. bracelet, which was on her ankle as an anklet.
Wow. I missed this. But
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
And in fact, there was this. Have you seen that show, Dubai Bling?
yeah. Yeah.
So there was. I'm forgetting that lady's name. She had taken a Daytona, a Rolex Daytona,
Okay.
and used it as a scrunchie. So
Wow. Must
you know,
be really rich.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I think more than watches of the year, it's about how you're wearing them right now. So you
Nice.
could be wearing any watch, but how creative can you really get with it? That's what matters right now.
Great. Also, I think jewelry and watches have become a lot more gender fluid.
Yes.
Yeah, which
they
is like a
have.
growing trend, like in the
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. So are there any iconic watches from any particular movies that you think are like really significant?
I feel like there are a lot of brands that do associate with movies, so that becomes an easy partnership. Say, for example, I think it was 007, the what was that guy's name? The one with the beautiful blue eyes? Daniel Craig.
Okay, yeah. Beautiful
He
blue eyes.
he has these like
Yeah.
captivating blue eyes. So I think he was wearing the Omega, which became really iconic. Um, Otherwise, I think it's more personality driven
Got
because
it.
a lot of times if the brand is not directly associated with the film, so what I've noticed is that the watch is always kind of sort of part of the character and they don't try and
Yeah.
delve on what they're wearing. So
Yeah.
it's a if you know you know kind of situation,
Got it.
vis-a-vis, oh, they were wearing this. So I don't think it works that way. It's still like that.
Yeah.
I would like to see it break. I mean, I want to know what, like, for example,
Yeah.
how in Devil Wears Prada we still look at that style and be like, wow.
Yes, wow. Yeah.
But like, yeah, like, I mean, I think it was that Anne Hathaway film, The Intern.
I love that
I
movie. I
love
love that
that
movie.
movie. So
Yes.
she is wearing a Cartier tank in that.
Okay.
And I really resonate with her. So that was actually one of the reasons I bought mine as well. But
Nice.
if that
Yeah.
counts. So yeah.
Nice. Nice. So we are all getting influenced by
Always.
movies and
Always.
everything.
Always.
Nice, nice. So before we talk more about watches, I would like to come to like our section where we discuss like what's really happening in the world of fashion currently. And like, earlier when we were talking, you said that a lot of brands are like sort of a lot of international brands
Yeah.
are like coming into India. Like
Yeah.
right now we saw the opening of Brioni, we saw
Correct.
Ladura, we saw like NARS come into India.
Yeah.
We're going to see Golden Goose come into
Correct.
the Chanakya.
Correct.
So like a lot of brands are coming in, and I believe the purchasing power, like of the Gen Zs,
Yeah.
or I don't know, their will to buy these things
Yeah.
are also significantly increasing.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, the thing is that, and on the other hand, we see like a lot of local brands also, like a lot of local Indian brands, sustainable brands also on the rise.
Yeah.
So, you as a young consumer, like, what do you prefer? Do you think that they are like they have to be compared or they shouldn't be compared? They are independent of each other, or like how do we go about it?
I think it's a mixed bag, honestly. I do believe that it is a product of your own personal style. So, I mean, of course, all of us are girls who love fashion and we
Yeah.
love indulging in our
Yeah.
brands. So, to know
Fashion
that we
girlies.
can fashion girlies.
Yes.
So, if we can indulge in something, we would. I don't think we'd stop ourselves. And like you said, I think the Gen Z's power in terms of purchasing has increased because I do believe that they are. I don't understand them much. However, I try. And from what I understand is that I feel like they are also people who like beautiful things.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I don't know if they're thinking long term about their lives, but what they are thinking.
They are. I read
Are
an
they?
article. I read an article recently, I think in the New York Times, and they are really scared of aging. Like Gen Zs are scared of
I
aging.
read that.
Yeah, you
Oh my
read
God.
that?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right, yeah.
And they said millennials are looking younger.
Yeah.
So
I'm
just
a Gen
saying.
Z, by the way.
Oh my
so, oh my
gosh.
God.
Yeah.
Gonna hide my face. Yeah, okay.
Cut friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know what you guys want. But I do feel like
We want love and happiness.
see
And, yeah.
and pretty things.
Yeah,
so
of
you
course,
guys don't
yes.
think that
We also
listen,
like great diamond watches.
right?
Yeah.
You're not thinking about buying a house at 40. You're thinking, listen, this watch will carry me till 40. So I feel that is the
Yeah.
way Gen Z thinks. And I think everyone's catching on to that. I think even older generations, God forbid, gosh, are
Baby boomers?
baby
Yeah,
boomers.
baby boomers.
Baby
yeah.
boomers, I think in fact, I had a very interesting conversation with someone that day. I won't be able to tell you from which brand that person was.
Yeah.
However, they did tell me that the thing with India is the money always existed. It's not like it didn't. However, social media and the exposure level
Yeah.
has gone tenfold in, say, the
Absolutely,
past
yeah.
5 years.
Yeah.
So now they don't feel intimidated walking into a mall and purchasing something. They always could. They just have the courage now.
Got it.
And it's actually really interesting to watch that everybody in the world has caught on to that. So
Wow.
be it
That's a great insight.
be it people like Rahul Mishra. like
Lovely
ripping.
show.
My gosh.
Now that you've mentioned him, I loved his
I
show.
love
My
him.
God. My God. I really, in fact, even like the smallest details, like I
Yeah.
want those denims with those really pretty
I
insects on it.
saw.
Like they're so
So
nice.
beautiful.
Yeah, so beautiful. Yeah.
In fact, when we
Yeah.
were at Brides, we used to do this trunk show that we used to do in the UAE.
Yeah. Oh,
And we
yeah, I
had
know
done it,
about this. Yeah.
yeah, in
Yeah.
Dubai.
Yeah.
So we had taken Rahul Mishra one season with us.
Oh,
And our
wow.
deal at that time used to be that the designer has to come. So I had got to spend a lot of time with him and his beautiful wife, Divya.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they are so passionate about their craft and the
Absolutely.
way
It
that they.
truly translates.
And as someone who
Yeah.
comes from design school, technically there is a methodology that you follow to
Mm-hmm.
craft perfection.
Yeah.
And I know very few people in the industry who actually follow it to that degree. They are
Mm-hmm.
one of them, and it shows.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, so coming back to our top,
Hmm.
like, the topic that we were discussing. So, like, when these brands, like, when these international brands are coming into India,
Yeah.
like, Louboutin had a whole, like,
India
bridal and
edit.
an India
Yeah.
edit.
Yeah.
So, do you think, like, these brands should localize, like, to cater to the Indian masses, or they should stick to, what they're doing for the international crowd?
I think a healthy mix of both always works. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Bulgari just launched a kada.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They launched a Mangal Sutra 2 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
Like you said, Louboutin's done that. Gucci launches a clutch for Diwali, if I'm not wrong, almost every year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it is about kind of, I mean, of course, we want to indulge in, say, a Gucci or a Louboutin for the brand that they are, but it always feels kind of like a silent nod towards our culture where
Got
they
it.
contextualize
Yeah, yeah.
certain things for us.
Even the Dior show that happened in
Yeah, of
Mumbai had a
course.
lot of,
Like
like,
the
yeah.
Chanakya school,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
immortalized forever now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
And as they should be, the craft that comes here is
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah.
In fact, but like, I mean, I feel like it's new for us at India, and that's why we're so excited by it. But say, for example, for the Chinese market,
Yeah.
it's been happening for eons. I know watch brands who contextualize sizes, like dial sizes, because they're
Wow.
fairly petite.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah.
their dials are smaller. So they go down to 18 and those editions are only launched in Southeast
nice.
Asia.
Yeah.
Or, there's a Chinese, according to the Chinese calendar, there's an animal that changes every year.
Mm-hmm. I
So
think the rabbit, the year of the
correct.
rabbit, yeah,
So
yeah.
every year, almost every watch brand comes up with a Chinese calendar year watch.
How nice.
So I think that's always been a luxury
Okay, but
focus.
it's sort of new for us.
It's new for us, and I think that's a great sign for us as a country.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so moving on, we just saw recently that H&M pulled an ad where they were, sort of targeted for like sexualization of girls. So, I mean, I saw like the ad, like, it was pulled, but I saw like a little bit of it, and there were like two young girls.
Yeah.
I think they were wearing decent clothes, nothing really, like two youngsters. And so do you feel like it was to sort of protect the like the identity of a girl, or like to not to objectify them, or it was just unnecessary what really happened?
I feel like currently the place that we are in globally, everyone's emotions are severely heightened. So I think that I believe it was wrong. I won't lie. But I do think that perhaps it was blown a bit out of proportion.
Okay.
But in this day and age, anything that's mildly not in
Controversial, or
favor,
like, yeah,
it
yeah.
will blow up. Like, I mean, that happens. I think a thing goes viral a day.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Social media comes here
yeah,
as well.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think now, for the better or for the worse, you're just caught in the crossfire in some way or the other.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it will have an impact.
Great. Okay, so you might have heard this thing or read this somewhere, like bosses wear Prada, workers get nada. So the Condé Nast layoffs is what we are
Yes.
talking about.
Yes.
So looking at that, I mean, I don't want to delve into it deeper, but like what I want to know is that what do you think of the trajectory of the media industry? Like all this is happening is like is it highlighting some deeper issues? Or like, what do you think? Like, how is the media space evolving and where is it going?
I feel like there was a point before social media where media itself was very, very relevant
Hmm.
because it was a source of information.
Yeah.
How else would I know what Beyonce is wearing if I don't read the latest issue of People?
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, will I understand the 10 best products for my skin if I'm not tuning into the Harper's Bazaar Beauty Awards? However, now I can get that information for free
Yeah, correct.
on social media, or I can just type it. So I feel like the way the internet has transcended has impacted media deeply. I do feel like the original influencers were people of media.
Yeah.
They were the ones who were studying brands on behalf of us, doing the grime work, and then putting out a verdict
Yeah. Yeah.
in the form of platforms, and then we would trust them. I would be like, hey, listen, but this is Bazaar's most awarded cream. I will get it
Got it.
because
Yeah.
it mattered. But now today, I could also just scroll on Instagram and tune into what my get ready with me favorite influencer is putting, and perhaps that cream would work for me as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that evolution has deeply impacted the way media is, which is what leads to, and because I understand this platform from a back end perspective,
Yeah.
advertisers see more value in backing people versus platforms. So
Yeah.
that means there's lesser money to produce that issue.
Got
We all know that we slave our asses off
Oh, yes,
to
we do.
produce
Yes,
those
we do.
100 pages,
Yes.
which are technically
Ask
supposed
those
to be
10 people in the team. They'll tell you.
No,
Yeah.
I know. I've been there.
Yeah.
And what happens is that once that issue comes to light, now technically 50% of that issue is supposed to be ads, but that's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not because the team is
Especially, I
incapable.
feel not in India as much.
Even
Internationally, I
internationally.
still see
Oh,
that
yeah.
it's slightly better, but yeah.
Not really. Like
No? Okay.
as a rule, every month on the first week of the month, I make it a point to read every magazine that I have access to. So I go to Khan Market, buy myself some lovely coffee, and
Yeah.
buy like a full chunk of magazines, and I just sit
Nice.
and read.
So you're still doing it
I
the
still
old
do it.
school
In my
way.
way to support
Nice.
the business. How else to now? Like I can't
Nice.
advertise, but at least I can
Yeah,
purchase
yeah,
a
yeah.
magazine. So I do that, and listen, it's across the board. So now, if the money isn't coming in from there, how are you expecting that platform to pay journalists fair wages?
Got it. Yeah.
Because it's tough. I sympathize for both ends. I mean, it is also not a sustainable business plan for a journalist
Yeah,
to live
yeah.
off only a journalist's salary. It's
Got it.
not. I'm sad.
So everybody has to sort of pivot now.
A little bit.
Yeah,
A little
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
I think. But don't forget your integrity.
Yeah. Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so coming back to watches, and that was like the main topic.
Yeah.
So apart from the brand and apart from how much does it cost, or like
Yeah.
who's wearing it, what truly makes like a watch like a must-have?
So I feel like watches aren't a must have. If I ask you to look at the time right now, you will not flick your wrist. You will look at your phone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That is natural instinct for everyone. So a watch is something that you buy as an accessory, as an investment, as a milestone. So that first change your perspective on that. You're not buying it out of need, you're buying it out of want.
Got it.
That is number one.
Wow.
And the next thing is, I feel like, and that's what I tell everybody who asks me on what should my first watch be, or like, what should my next watch be? You have to identify what you're buying it for. Are you buying it because, in the evening you want to go out and maybe you want something on your wrist? You want something that will take you from, I don't know, your conference room to cocktails. So that's an all-day situation. Maybe you only want it because you are perhaps getting married or graduating and you want to mark the milestone.
Yeah.
So identify what that need is.
Got it.
And then please go and try as many watches as possible. See, go all out.
Yeah.
Get the biggest one, get the littlest one, go with the strap, go with rubber. There are so many options now.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are, like, perhaps you're someone who is more sensitized to the weight on your wrist. So perhaps something in ceramic will work well for you. Or, like, you're someone who wants to keep it interesting, but you wear a lot of jewelry. So maybe a two-tone watch, because you don't know whether you're wearing something that's white or steel
Yeah,
versus
yeah.
gold or whatever, so you like to mix it up. So depends on all of that,
Got
but
it.
I feel like how it feels on your wrist is imperative,
So
because
it's
otherwise
tailored to each person.
it's tailored to each person. And unless you don't know how you feel with it on your hand, and if you don't like it, you'll never wear it. It may be the best investment, it may be something that'll appreciate, but if you don't like it how it feels, then it'll remain in your locker. And
Yeah.
the thing about appreciating watches is that, I'm not going to say wear and tear because that's a very crude way of putting it, but there's a beautiful word called patina. So
Okay.
patina means the way the metal on your watch ages. So there's a lot of patina on this beautiful
I
bronze.
love that word now.
Yeah.
That's a new thing I've learned
Yeah.
today. Now I'm gonna flaunt it.
Yeah,
Patina.
for sure.
Yes.
So
Nice.
if there's not enough, like not enough, but even if there's not a little bit of patina on your watch, the resale value might get altered. So
Wow.
use it with your heart, and then only will you be able to, I mean, pass it forward with the correct emotion. It'll serve you in
Lovely.
many ways.
Lovely, lovely. So, if somebody is looking to become like a collector, okay, like we have art collectors, so somebody
Correct.
wants to become like a watch collector.
Yeah.
Is there any club that you have to be a part of? Or like, where do you essentially get your information from?
So I feel like, of course, now watch brands, I think, for the last to kind of get on the social media bandwagon. I won't lie.
Yeah.
I think it's just been 2-3 years since they've been, chalo, okay, 4 years,
Yeah.
that they've been creating tailored content for the platform. But of course, social media is very educational.
Yeah.
There is a plethora of creators who work only with watches. That is very, very interesting. That is a great way to get your information. Of course, there are watch only platforms that are global, where you could get a lot of information. Ask me. I will help you.
Nice. Please go to her if you need
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
Yeah. Also, I'm sure there are podcasts. Like, I think there's a Hodinky.
Yes, Hodinky.
Yeah. I mean, before this episode, I was listening to
Oh,
that and I
did
was
you
like,
listen to the John Mayer one?
I don't remember. Like, I was sort of sleeping at night and I was like, okay, let's give this
Yeah.
a shot. And I switched it on.
Yeah.
And I was listening to something. So I, like, heard a few things here and there. I mean, I'll go and listen to it properly now.
Yeah.
But I just, like, I was researching for the episode and that's
Right.
when I found out about that
Oh.
podcast.
No,
It
there's
was
so
pretty
many
great.
interesting
Yeah.
podcasts. But I
Yeah.
do feel like if someone is starting their journey, perhaps an audio only will not be as interesting to them.
Got it.
Because that might be slightly confusing. There are a lot of technical terms that you want to acquaint yourself with
Yeah.
before you indulge into a watch.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
So, talking about technical terms, like, I heard like a few things like this is Japanese movement, Swiss movement,
Yeah.
I don't know, moon phase,
Yes.
this, that. What is all of that? If you could give us one or two jargons, like we would really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
of course. Okay, so a moon phase is something that indicates the phase of the moon.
Okay.
So it will be in tandem with what it is IRL.
Okay.
So if the moon is half right now, that is what your watch will indicate.
Okay.
And it's known to be one of the most romantic complications. So because it kind of cascades across the stars, most of those watches are blue. A lot of them have a lot of beautiful guilloche. Guilloche means the subtle art of etching with hand.
Wow, nice.
So it kind of creates a beautiful effect on the dial. So a lot of moon phases are guilloched by hand.
Wow.
And they are, of course, because that is why that complication is known, because the amount of love and workmanship that goes into crafting those is unparalleled. So that is moon phase.
Great.
What else? I mean, it's fairly
Got it.
hectic.
So now people know what to gift like to their Valentines and
Yes,
things like
please,
that.
always.
Yeah.
Forevermore. It's a
Nice.
beautiful gift.
Nice.
And either way, like not just for women, please
Yeah, of course, for
gift
men
your
as well.
man a beautiful watch, or just
Definitely.
gift your partner
Yeah, a
a
beautiful
lovely watch.
Yes.
Anybody can gift anyone anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just clearing that.
Yeah, just clearing that, guys. Your partner.
So we have seen like a rise of smartwatches.
Yes.
So do you think like people will lose value for the traditional watches because of the smartwatches that have come to play?
I think the Swiss industry was also at one point pondering over this. However, I think that the TG for a smartwatch audience vis-a-vis a mechanical watch or an automatic watch audience is completely different. A smartwatch user is perhaps someone who wants to be in the know at all times, which is why they like their notifications on their wrist.
Yeah.
There are perhaps people who are more health conscious than usual. They'd like to know about their steps, they'd like to know about their heart rate. So I think that and you're not looking for that in an analog watch ever. That is not the kind of hope you have from your traditional watch.
Yeah.
So I think the user case is completely different. So
Got it.
they shouldn't be seen as enemies of each other.
Got it.
And there's such a thing known as double wristing, by the way.
Oh, wow.
So you wear your smartwatch in one wrist and you wear your analog watch in the other one.
Wow, I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Great.
So
great,
that's not frowned upon. It's actually encouraged. So
Oh, how nice.
anybody who feels the need for both, do not be afraid to double wrist.
Nice. Okay, so when it comes to watches, I'll come down to my last two questions. So you recently visited the IWC
Yes,
boutique,
watchmaking
right?
class. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us one thing that you learned that is not common knowledge, but you really found it interesting.
That IWC watches are made in a way that they always run faster. So, you know how usually like your watch will lose time.
Yeah,
So, for
yeah.
example, you know that, listen, something's up, but an IWC watch will always gain time. So, for example, if the time is right now 1:30,
Yeah.
and if your IWC watch is not doing well, it'll easily be like perhaps 2 p.m., but it'll
Okay.
never be earlier. And they've done that on purpose just so that people are never late.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah,
how
I thought that
nice.
was very
That's
interesting.
really thoughtful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your dream watch?
Oh gosh.
Yes.
There are so many,
Just
but
quickly tell what came to your mind first.
the Vacheron Constantin 222. It's a
Okay.
beautiful. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's this lovely pure gold watch. It's a bracelet. The bracelet is honeycomb webbed, so it melts on the wrist. It's stunning.
Looks stunning.
And
Yeah,
it's
sounds
a
stunning.
lovely 37 mm. So I'm someone who has a smaller wrist than usual. So that sits very well on my wrist. And it's a direct reissue of the 1970s edition, which is a period of watches that I really enjoy. So, yeah, I think that is my current dream watch.
Great. So it was lovely talking about watches. Now I'll come down to my last segment, which
Yes.
is like a quick game segment. It's not like a rapid fire, but like try to answer everything quickly. I'll give you options and
Ready.
I'll ask you about 7 questions, okay?
All right.
Start. Okay. So because we have spoken extensively about watches, which strap do you prefer, leather or metal?
Leather.
Okay. Which innovative collection did you like more during the Paris Fashion Week? Robert One's, Victor and Rolf, Alaya, or Maison Margiela?
Mashallah.
It was so stunning,
like,
right? Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was blown
Amazing
away.
show. Yeah. Also, I think they used like a lot of plus size
Yes,
models.
they did.
I shouldn't say plus size models, but like
Models who aren't-
yeah, which was I think a
Yeah.
nice touch. Yeah. So, out of the leading ladies in the fashion industry in India, who do you prefer more? Like for yourself, Anamika Khanna or Anita Dongre?
Anamika Khanna.
I love what she did with the Alia Bhatt's like,
so
filmfare.
beautiful.
So
You know, there's
beautiful.
something about her artistry,
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
The fabric falls so lightly, and yet it's so decadent.
It's really delicate.
It's
and Even the
amazing.
color, the ivory was like
So
stunning.
beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, so Zendaya's recent futuristic allure in black or Kylie Jenner's silver mermaid look? Your preferred look?
I think the Zendaya look. Yeah,
That
I've
was
been
also
I've
really
been
nice.
really really lusting after the way that she's been looking off late.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you know, it almost feels like a kinship. Like I'm proud of her.
Yeah.
It's really sweet. Yeah.
How nice. So, because you love traveling,
Yeah.
what would your next destination look like? The Giant's Causeway in Northern Islands, Antelope Canyon in Arizona, or the Whitehaven Beach in Australia?
Oh wow. Can I say none?
Yeah, you can. Absolutely. Absolutely, you can.
Because my trip is already planned. In fact, I'm going.
So where are you going?
I'm going to Europe again.
Okay.
But I love. There's so much to see there. So I'm
Yeah.
going to Geneva for the watch fair in April.
Oh, how
I
nice.
will be going to London to meet a few friends and some work before that.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully I'll be in Lisbon for a weekend and maybe Paris.
Nice. Your answer was definitely better than the options, but okay. Okay, so your preferred collaboration, Vivienne Westwood and Swatch, Rolex and Domino's, or G-Shock and John Mayer?
G-Shock and John Mayer, man. Blew my mind. Like,
Nice.
I mean, the others were beautiful,
Yeah.
but that was special.
Nice. And my last question, velvet or silk fabric? Like, which one is your preferred
Silk.
fabric?
Silk.
For
That's
like a
the
luxurious feel? Silk.
silk.
Yeah,
That's
even
the,
for me also,
yeah.
it's silk.
That's
Yeah.
the textile designer in me. We were ingrained with the purity and the beauty of silk. So, yeah.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so we come to the end of our podcast. It was lovely having you.
It was so
I
nice.
mean, I think this flew like I mean, I didn't know how time passed by with
Yeah,
you.
this
Yeah,
was
yeah, this
lovely.
was lovely. So I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And to all the listeners, if you enjoyed, whatever we spoke about, I'm sure like you learned so many things like I did from Nirja today. You can always approach us, approach her, approach me if
Yes,
you need to know
please.
anything else. And if you have any more suggestions, any more topics that you would like us to discuss in future, please write to us at pods@indiatoday.com, or you can even drop a text on 85889 66996. Thank you. Bye.